So far we talked about site management. Each one of these sites can have unlimited buildings, users, people. There's no limitations within Maxpanda. The only limitation is the work order count. Again, on the enterprise, there is no limitations at all. We talked about the system roles, which everyone will be assigned to. If you're using the guest portal, you don't need to invite people in. So if one of your office workers does not want to be a submitter or doesn't care to have a username profile, they can simply use the site guest portal within each one of these sites if they wanted to. Excuse me. I'm going to pause there. Does anyone have any questions on site management and the user roles right now?
I got a couple. So for the different databases, is one database able to talk and share information with another database?
What kind of information?
So like if, for example, made them states, like one database for the Ohio, Kentucky, and another database for the Carolinas. But I wanted to transfer information from the Carolinas to the Ohio, Kentucky database, such as if I had a piece of equipment that's in the Carolinas, they scan and enter it in the system as failed, and they're going to send it to Ohio and Kentucky to be repaired. So the Ohio, Kentucky group will need to log it into their repair shop. So can an asset move back and forth between databases, or would I just need to make one database for everybody?
No, the asset, when you create it in Maxpanda headquarters, a piece of equipment, it's going to be in that site. So we can call it, whatever, equipment ABC. If you want to move it to the New York site, you're going to have to create it again, and then you can move it. You can also download all the data within a particular site and upload it in another site. So creating the same piece of equipment is not a problem. It's a click of a button by downloading the data and then uploading it into the other site. But you need to have that asset record in both sites, the piece of equipment.
But Steve, if they had one site, you can add multiple locations and they can transfer between locations, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then my other question then is on your example here, your categories across the top, are you able to add more categories? Like I see you have your category type, category group, building. Are those set, or can you add more channels across the top?
No, you can add as many as you want, and they can be shared within all your sites if you wanted to. We're gonna discuss all of this now that we're we're dealing with the work order.
Okay.
Well, every drop down that you see, if I have a drop down that clicks like this, is customized by the company administrator or the site admin in a particular site. So every drop-down is customizable in Maxpanda, yes. Any other questions so far on the site management or the user roles from anyone?
Yeah, Steve, this is Craig. I've got a question. When you were setting up a new user, it sounds like an invitation is sent to a user and then the user sets up their profile and they can opt in or out of notifications.
Yes.
Is it possible for the admin to create the profile and designate which notifications, because some people may not want to get reminder emails?
Of course. The admin has full access to all the staff after the fact. So as you can see under staff here, I just did invite a user. I can see who I invited and who has not set up their profile yet. So I can go ahead and do it for them. But I do have my user list here. So there's quite a few people here. So let's say Amber at Maxpanda, she has access to all of my sites that I created here. So if I edit her, now I have full access to manipulate her email preferences, her site permissions. So you can see here, I've given her access as a company admin for most of the sites in Maxpanda with different rates. But she's a view-only role and a staff-limited role in a couple of the sites. I don't have any assets assigned to her. Oh yeah, I do. The wax machine is assigned to her because she's always working on that piece of equipment. And I don't have any attachments like whatever you want to attach to the user. So the company admin has full rights to manage this because we understand that a lot of people will just uncheck those. Yes, good question.
Can you add, can you manage this through Active Directory or Azure, meaning Federation or something like that instead of manually uploading, adding users to the system? And to help with administration and removing users, user turnover?
Yeah, for sure. So were you here when I logged in, like in the beginning?
No, I didn't see that part. Part of my screen was blocked. I'm sorry about this, Steve.
That's okay. So I just logged out of the my desktop app, and when I clicked on login, you'll notice we have Office 365. So the Azure API is there, so you can manage your permissions or your staff through Azure AD. We've added Facebook and Google Plus as well, but we haven't pushed it live yet because a couple months ago, as you know on the news, Facebook got hacked, so we pulled those two out until the API is tested properly again. But the Office is working just fine. A lot of customers use that. So I've logged in through my email, username, password, but you can set up Azure not without a problem. You can disable multiple users, do whatever you want with it through your Office account. Good question. Anybody else?
No, I just want to get back to the user setup again. So if an admin goes in and modifies a user's profile, can the user then go back and remodify it, or is there any way to lock users out?
No, there's no way to lock somebody out of here because this is their profile, right? So if you're going to uncheck all of the if you're going to check them all on and save, there's nothing stopping Steve tomorrow coming in and unchecking them and saving them. Now, you can log in and take a screenshot and then have a meeting with Steve and go, look, I set this like this. Why was it like that? I mean, that's up to you, but.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one question. What options do you provide to upload the data from our internal, for example, an Access database to your Maxpanda database?
What kind of database? Sorry, I can't hear you that well.
From Access database to database.
She was wondering if a user has an Access database, how can data integration occur? I guess going back to your data import process or options, I guess from an individual user copy of, hey, I have an Access database and I want to integrate or upload that data from the Access database into this system, as well as, I guess, Steve, a follow-up question would be system-to-system integration. If I have a system in my corporate network that I want to consume data from your SaaS system. So there's two questions, really. One, individual data upload, and the other one is system-to-system integration options.
Sure, good question. Now let's talk about the Access database. Access, you can copy the data. So, what kind of data are you talking about? Just like historical history on a piece of equipment or building, or like what exactly are we talking?
Exactly that. Yeah, historical information on equipment. There's a Access database that's in use, and we would need to import that data.
Yeah, fantastic. So what you would do is export that into a PDF, that data into or Excel or some kind of Office documentation, and just attach it to the piece of equipment. So everything in Maxpanda that you see here, whether it's a building, an asset, a part, staff, vendor, we allow you to attach documents to that entity. So everything but Access files, because it is a web-based application, it won't run your Access file, but you can export Access docs into a text file or just copy paste that text and attach it to the entity within Maxpanda.
I think they are thinking more on the lines of uploading the data into Maxpanda. So like if a piece of equipment has been worked on several times in the past, you know, they want to capture the date.
Okay, so can your data be downloaded or exported in Excel format?
If it's in Access, it should be able to be exported to Excel, right? CSV file?
Yeah.
You can upload that into Maxpanda.
Okay, so for me to handle to answer that question, I'm going to go to my asset registry here. So these assets belong to Maxpanda headquarters site. So if I view all of them, so these are all my pieces of equipment here. Some are archived, meaning I don't want them to show up in the work or the forms because we sold them or the whatever. Some have a meter running on them, some have PMs, some have attachments. You cannot delete anything in Maxpanda if it has a history on it. The delete button is available if it's never had any history on it. So when I click create, I'm creating a new piece of equipment in Maxpanda headquarters site, and there's a lot of information here that I can capture on stage one, especially choosing uploading an attachment to it. So you can either attach the Access file or a text file or notes, or just write up all of your information here. But we also have the multi-data
Are these fields editable, or just when you add editable, meaning I can add additional fields?
On here, no, they're not here.
Okay.
But if there's a field that's missing that is required, and you think it's necessary within the asset registry, we'll add that. That's not a problem.
Is there a service fee associated with that?
Not at all, because if it makes sense for you, it's going to make sense for another customer. So that only benefits the software, not you, right? Or both.
Okay.
But if you're telling me you're requesting a pink elephant flying across the screen here, I'm not sure if that's going to benefit another customer. So we probably would deny that request. This multi-data template is an Excel sheet, and it has all of these fields pre-built into it. So here, if you have a lot of information, this is where you would download it. So if I download this, it's a blank Excel sheet, and then I would upload it into this account here, and it would populate all of my information. So by you having the data already in Access, you can download it or into Excel, copy paste the relevant columns for your equipment, your locations, your buildings, your inventory, and have everything uploaded and populated within half an hour.
Can I access your data, the database through a web API?
We have an API, but we haven't opened up the points to this yet. The API, we've opened webhooks to accounting packages and customer database. So if you've got, 20,000 customers, and you can bring them in from Zoho or Salesforce, things like that. So there's only a couple of points that we've opened up right now. But you won't need the API from here, because this, like I said, you can simply download the Excel, populate it, and upload it right within the each individual menu item here.
And this is 100% cloud? Correct. Is it a dedicated tenancy?
What does that mean? Sorry, I'm not a techie guy.
I'm sorry. Is this, our data, is it sitting in the same server as another customer?
Within the same database. Is it a multi-tenant environment or single tenant?
No, it's single. It's each one of these. Your database is your database, and then each site is a sub database of your main database.
So I think he's referring to the server it's in is you say you're using Amazon's cloud.
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't dedicate one server just to us, right? It's their big server bank, and it can be multiple different companies in that server.
That's right. There's 17 actual servers that we use. They're called data points throughout the globe. So the main one is in Oregon, where you would probably be. Most U.S. Customers go to the Oregon site. Then, you know, if that site was ever slow or redundant, there's other redundant servers that it just pushes you to the other servers. But it's a true cloud system. It's not like a hard drive that we manage, you know, in the office. But we could go over all that stuff later on. I will be sending an email out too as well, and it'll have Amazon documentations of the cloud as well. Any questions?
Due to time, Steve, this is James. I'm the solution architect. Due to the time, I'm going to hold my technical questions and probably follow up with you through John and get those answers to my questions, okay? So the business can follow up and continue with their more important questions about the usage and functionality of the application.
Excellent. That makes sense. Okay, so we talked about the databases. We talked about the users in Maxpanda. This gray search cloud, this is your connection to the Amazon cloud right here. So, and every one of these links that we're going to be running through today, we won't have time to go through everything today, but every link has this search capability, and it's searching your database in live, in real time. Now, when you first log in as a staff or supervisor admin, it's going to take you to view all work orders in your specific site. Now, we do have a company-wide work orders, and that's for supervisors or higher. And this is where you can say, you know what, I only want to see work orders for 4 of my sites here. That's why I'm showing 150 work orders right now for only 4 of these sites. I can also click on status and say, I don't care to see my in progress, on hold, rejected, reopened work orders. I only want to see, or actually pending, not reopened. So I brought it down to 75 work orders now because I only care to see approved, completed, pending. So that's how I can customize every list here. It does store it for you in the cookie. So I'm going to go back to view all work orders in Maxpanda headquarters site. From here, using the checkboxes, you can see I'm showing 71 work orders. Obviously, I can see more at the same time. I'm just going to show 10 so we can see the top and bottom filters. By utilizing the checkboxes, I can do a multi-print. I can print all 10 work orders, whether they're 1 or 2 pages each. In a click of a button, I can download the information in a CSV file. I can also get a quick status report to see exactly who's working on what status are all of the work orders on, etc. By clicking the boxes, I can do a multi-status change. So in fact, I can close all 10 of them. Maxpanda is not going to allow me to close these 2, so because they're only pending, they haven't been approved. So let's say I was a staff personnel, I can click all the first 8 approved and I can complete them. Now, if they have tasks, which I see they do, I will not be able to complete these work orders because I have not completed the tasks. So here you can see there's actually 5 tasks, different task templates that need to be completed before anyone can complete this work order. So adding a task is a fail-safe way to make sure that the work was completed. And again, by being a supervisor, editor, administrator, I can multi-assign staff to multiple work orders. So all these first 10, I can add Maxwell to the work orders as a staff, or I can say Acme Electric, which is a vendor, I'm going to multi-assign them. If I made a mistake, I can multi-unassign them. Maxpanda will send another email out and say, you've been unassigned to the work orders. So using the checkbox is very valuable there. Today, we're going to create a work order, and we're going to look at each one of these work orders. Before I do that, to show you the live search, I'm going to type in my name. Out of 71 work orders, Maxpanda is showing me 7 completed work orders. So Steve has been assigned to 7 work orders out of those 71 work orders with 3 statuses, and 7 are completed. So he's doing a great job, etc. So get Steve out of there. We're back at our view all screen at 71. If I was a supervisor and every day I wanted to see exactly what's overdue, what's been closed, what's been pending for approval, etc., when I log in every day, I will see 2,077 work orders on this list. Now, when you close a work order, that's the final stage of a work order. Do you really want to load all these work orders every time, especially overdue? Overdue, we have a dedicated list there. So these are what's important for me. I want to see what's coming in pending. I want to be able to approve them. So I want to see all the approved work orders, what's time clicking on, and also the completed ones so I can close them off. So I'm pretending I'm a supervisor. All of these here, these are, again, the priority settings. When you first log into Maxpanda, you're going to have a low, medium, high, urgent. Urgent is a 24-hour work order. On hour 25, it becomes overdue. So that means within 24 hours, the work order must be completed or it becomes overdue. Overdue work orders means the company admins, site admins, supervisors receive an email and a push alert saying that, you know, this work order was not completed on time. You'll see low, medium, high, urgent. As you can tell, I've got different ones set up for my account. I've got a 1-hour response, meaning it has to be done. It has to be completed within 1 hour. So you can set your own priorities. The categories were all developed by myself. You will get the basic ones: HVAC, lighting, plumbing, vehicle, etc. These were all customized by myself. And again, these can be shared throughout your sites. Tasks as well, the person developing tasks can share tasks within the sites. Same with the preventive maintenance library. So if I was a supervisor in the Maxpanda headquarters site, I made a bunch of PMs, templates, made them, saved them as templates in Maxpanda. Everyone else outside of my site, so people in New York, can import that template and utilize it in their site. So what we're doing there is we're standardizing operations across the company, site by site, okay? Again, you don't need to have multiple sites. I just wanted to show you the capabilities, sub-databases. There are multiple sites available for you. You can simply just use one site and have all your buildings in that site. Now, we also utilize building groups. I'm not sure if you'll utilize them, but think of a university setting. In the science department, there's maybe 20 or 30 buildings related to the science department. So I can create a group called sciences, and then all assigned buildings, those 20 buildings under that science group. And that allows me then to assign Maxwell to that building group, sciences. So he'll only get notified, push notified, email notified, and view work orders within that building group itself. You can assign people all the way down to the location level. So where's a location? Here's one called first floor. I know that to be at the M13 building, manufacturing building, first floor. You can assign Steve to that location, and that means I can only submit and view work orders within that location. So think of it as a tenant, right? Like, or who owns a condo, 101, they'll only see work orders in 101. So you can assign people at the high level, all the way from site level, all the way down to a specific location. All right, we're going to submit a work order now, and I'm going to click Submit Work Order. And can someone give me an example of the work order that we worked on this week, just to make it as real life as possible?
You do one for calibration.
Calibrate what?
Repair gas detector.
Sorry, gas detector?
Yes.
Right on. Okay, So I'm not sure who I am right now. I could be the person in the office or the field person doing this on the iPhone, Android, tablet, or desktop here. So I'm submitting a work order. Work order title, very important in Maxpanda. This text that you see here that I just wrote up becomes the hyperlink in the emails that go back and forth from all the relevant people that are going to be assigned and approving work orders, etc. So if you're going to assign Steve's vendor company to this work order, I'm going to get an email, and this is going to be the link. I click it, it opens up the work order on my phone, etc. It's also the push notification text. I hope that everyone knows what that is. It's the pop-ups, notifications that you get on iPhones and Androids. So I'm going to get a pop-up on my iPhone 8 that says repair the gas detector. I click it, it opens up GoMax mobile app, takes me right to the work order so I can see exactly what needs to be done. Before I continue, all of this text here is customized by the company administrator. So if you don't like the terminology work order title, you can change this to, hey buddy, what's your problem? Or whatever you want this to look like throughout the entire site. I'm going to copy this so we can paste it. Now, reference ID, this is an open field. I've seen customers use it to collect GL codes or certain asset codes, whatever you want to collect during the work order life cycle. It is stored and reported on though. Okay, so the data is captured. Category, again, this is my work order category. Today, I'm not going to put calibration, I'll just put repair, but this is customized. Now, work order categories are very important. They're awesome because I can do a quick filter on all my HVAC type work orders. I can do group all my repair work orders, or I can report on all repair work orders. Again, all of this was customized by myself. Maxpanda doesn't have Project 1A, so you can create your own work categories. This is what the submitter now is requesting. He's saying, you know what, take your time, Steve, take 7 days to complete this work order. So they're giving me, they're expecting the work to be done within a week. Again, I'm going to copy and paste this information. Short description goes up to 500 characters, or 5,000. Same with this. Notes goes up to 5,000. Now, the notes is what the submitter is putting into the work order. The comments is what the maintenance personnel or the vendor would enter in, and I'll show you that after we approve the work order. Those two fields are communicated back and forth. What that means is tomorrow, if I put, hey, Mandy, when are you going to approve this work order, blah, blah, blah. If this was typed in tomorrow, it's going to update the work order, obviously, and then the people assigned to it are going to receive an email with the new text, and the text changes colors. So this will be black, this is going to be red. The next text will be black, so it alternates. So you know what's been updated within the work order. Carbon copy, I can email, CC the accounting department or maybe a vendor that we don't have invited into our account. This is not a customer's work order. We own this piece of equipment, so I'm going to select where it is, and I'm going to pick M13 building. So this is the main building, because I know that's where the gas detector is, and it's on the first floor. So we filter by the building group. Well, it actually starts at the site level. So we'll go to building group, we'll go to the building, and then all the way down to the location. When we pick a building, Maxpanda will filter the locations and the assets. So here is this is an HVAC unit, but we'll pretend it's the gas detector. We also want somebody to look at Steve's Ford. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a location work order as well as an asset-based work order, okay? If I was a submitter, I would not be able to edit these three fields here. I'm still the company admin, so I have access to do this. Submitters cannot tell you when to start the job, so but I am the company admin, so I override that. If I was on my iPhone, again, I would take a picture of the actual problem. It'll be attached to the work order, so this is great for field servicing. We not only allow you to take pictures in the work order, you can do audio files. So you can take an audio note, dictate it, and then add it to the work order. You can also add any office documentation, whether it's a PDF, Excel file, YouTube video, whatever. So I'm going to submit this work order now, and two things are occurring as I click submit. Number one, you'll see the work order here, but we're going to start from the beginning. I'll go back to my view all screen. So forget about Steve who submitted that work order. I'm going to pretend Mandy needs to approve the work order now. So somebody in the internal office has to either approve or reject it. Now, if I was a staff unlimited role, I can actually approve it. So that's the difference between limited and unlimited. They both can only complete the work order, but the staff unlimited role, we allow them to assign themselves to the work order, approve it, and then complete it. But we still need a supervisor, editor, admin to do a final close on that work order. All right, so two things just happened. Number one, Mandy, you saw a new work order on your dashboard. Okay, so let's pretend I'm Mandy now. And I noticed there's a new work order that somebody just submitted, repair the gas meter. Mandy also received an email and a push alert on her phone. So whether she's at the desktop in her office or at lunch, she's going to be notified of this work order request. We're going to edit this work order. So Mandy, hope it's okay using your name over and over again, but Mandy is going to review this work order. And now you can see a Maxpanda work order, that little form, is actually 7 different pages of data. The first part is the work order details. So we've got a new work order ID number, repair the gas meter is the title. We got that email and the push alert. Now Mandy knows we can't wait 7 days to complete the work order, so we're going to escalate it to 3 days. So we need this work order done within 3 days, completed or closed within 3 days. Mandy can reject the work order. Maybe this was a duplicate or somebody just made a mistake and thought, you know, to submit it. We can, Mandy can put in a note why she's rejecting it, and that'll go into the status history. So we keep a status history and a footprint of every work order PM meter in Maxpanda. Today, we will approve it, but not yet. We see what the person put in, repair the gas meter. We have a private note section as well. This is only for maintenance department. It's only visible for the maintenance staff, supervisor, editor, administrators, okay? The comment would be where the vendor or the staff personnel updated the comment, like fixed the gas meter, whatever notes they want to put in there. That is visible to the person who submitted the request. Okay, so notes and comments are communicated back and forth up until the work order is closed. All of this time stamping occurs through the buttons here on the mobile or desktop, so you don't have to touch this information. Only the company admin can override it. The start date, due date, completed date. We know who submitted it. Steve's the one on site submitted the request. As Mandy can add more files to it, maybe some help files or O&M manual, documentation, step-by-step, whatever. We know where we're going, or what the staff knows where they're going to be going, what equipment it's related to. Mandy can assign this now to a vendor. So if I have a vendor, Acme Electric, I'm going to assign them to the work order. It's as simple as that. Now this vendor is red because they are actually preferred vendor for this building. That's why they come up red. We have a task module now, and if I click task, add a task, it pulls in my templates from the library here. So I'm going to add a task to this work order. I'm going to say roof inspection report. I'm also going to say calibration. So these two tasks, I predefined them a long time ago, and we created them into the library and we share them within our sites. I'll show you what the roof inspection report looks like. I'll edit it. All right, so this task, you can assign it to a different vendor or a different staff personnel. So here is Amber. So I'm going to assign just the task now to our internal staff, Amber. I'm also going to notify Maxwell when she's done so he can start the calibration process. So there's a hierarchy level there. Now, for this staff here, forget about Maxwell, for this task, which Amber has been assigned to, she needs to collect all this data. So this is a roof inspection report, which I digitized years ago. We wanted to collect attic condition, 1 of 5. On the mobile, she would put a 5 in. Was there any garbage on the roof? She would put no. Now, the type of data you can collect are numbers, letters, dates with a time, and checkboxes. So there's 5 different data sets, but you can add as many data sets to a single task, as well as attachments as well at the task level, okay? Once the tasks are completed, you have to say complete and then save it, or on the mobile, it just says completed. So that means you completed all this, but you'll notice I need data inside the boxes for these ones here. They're required. So if you don't complete this, you cannot close or complete the work order itself. So I'm going to remove the tasks because we don't have time to complete all of them today. We'll just skip that part. Now, part management, that comes from, this pulls in from your inventory. We have a full part management module as well as bins. A bin, think of it as mobile parts or a storage or a shelf with a bunch of parts, similar parts or individual parts within that bin. I have 4 different parts that came up already in this work order because I pre-assigned these 4 parts to those 2 assets that the work order assigned to. So you can pre-assign your parts. What that means is they'll always be available for your staff to consume. So here's the filter that we typically use for that HVAC unit that I've assigned to, and we have 484 on hand. Now, if my staff, whoever I'm going to assign this work order to, used 80 of them and completed this work order, this number will be 404, plus we will also collect the costs because these things have an individual cost to them, whether they came in through a PO or manually inputted into the inventory. There's a cost, and so we're going to collect part costs and usage within the work order. Now, this is my maintenance staff here. So again, I'm going to assign this work order to Jack, excuse me, Jimmy and Jack, and Maxwell. So I've assigned this work order to 3 of my maintenance staff. They all have different hourly rate. On the mobile, they're going to put in how many hours and minutes they work. So we're going to collect time on site for the job, as well as have the ability to create a labor cost report because we have their rate. Now, you can do $1 for everybody or have individual rate. Only the company admin can see everybody's rate anyway. We also collect your weekly hours. What that means is if Jack, we can cap him at, let's say, 40 hours a week. So if this number here was 39.9, you know Jack might go overtime, so you can remove him from this work order. So that's the weekly hours, total hours. And again, on the mobile, Jack can be forced to put in the hours before he completes the work order, or you can keep this open, up to you. Invoice, this is not a customer invoice. Maybe a vendor gave you an invoice, so I'm going to add costs here. So Acme Electric charged us $429 to fix the problem that we've assigned here. So now we're also collecting external costs, $421 from the vendor, which was assigned to the work order. Now, I created this invoice already before. This vendor would be able to create their invoice and add it to the work order before they complete the work order digitally, or take a picture of a manual invoice or attachment and then upload it to the work order. Now, work order attachments, this repository would be holding any data that was uploaded during the life cycle of this work order. I'm not going to upload anything from my desktop to the work order. Company attachments. Now, when I developed this location, created the location, which is the first floor in M13 building, I uploaded a floor plan, so I know exactly where every location, room is, etc. I also have a Google map, which all this data will be available on the smartphones and desktop, obviously. So location, the piece of equipment has a YouTube video, for example, of how to change this filter that we always buy. We also have a reorder form for the parts if need to print it at any time. So all this information is always going to be available for the work order when this piece of equipment and the truck are created a work order against. Okay, so we've assigned the work order to people. I know I went into a lot of detail, but again, there is 7 different pages. Theoretically, this work order should have took 30 seconds to approve. Mandy could have just did 3 days here, assigned the particular staff, and then click approve work order. So 2 things are being done right now. Number 1, everyone assigned to this work order is receiving an email and a push notification on their mobile app. The other thing that's happening is we're changing this pending work order, the yellow pending work order request, to green. So the status now has changed. The clock is ticking. It is approved, and we have 3 days, or these 3 people have 3 days to complete all of the relevant information tasks. So now I'm going to pretend I'm Jack, and I received this on my iPhone or Android. Now Jack, because he's a staff unlimited role, he will not be able to cancel this work order. Remember, I'm still a company admin like Steve. I'm staying here so you can see all the options. But a staff or a vendor will not be able to cancel this work order or close it, okay? Their job is to complete the work order, but they would not be able to complete it if there was outstanding tasks or hours to put in. They would not be able to close it. That button is only for supervisor, editor, administrator. They can put it on hold because a lot of times you don't have the right parts to fix this gas detector. Maybe somebody ordered through a PO or part and it's not going to arrive within 3 days. So they can put it on hold. When the part arrives, you put it back in progress and then do a final completion. We timestamp all that minutes or hours that it was put on hold for you. And you can report on it, okay? Today we're going to skip all that. We're just going to close this work order. We don't have time to do all that information. So private notes could have been, hey, did you do this yet? Whatever. Again, that private note is only for staff, supervisor, editor, admin. Maybe your vendor put in here fixed, nice and simple, and then added an invoice. This fixed text, the person who created the work order will get an email if they, had that set up in their profile. Moving on down, we'll pretend all the tasks were completed, so we are able to close this work order off. For parts, we'll just pretend we use 3 of everything. Again, these numbers will go down. We are going to collect costs, relevant costs to this work order. Each one of these parts has different costs to them. All the staff worked multiple hours on this job. So Maxwell worked 20 minutes, maybe just to approve the work order, and then everyone else did the manual labor. We collected external costs related to this piece of equipment. We did not upload any data. This data is available for us to help us complete the work order. We are going to pretend, everyone, that this work order now was orange, that maintenance personnel completed the work order, and it turned orange. People got emails. I'm happy with this work order. We're going to close it off within the 3-day period. It's not going to go overdue. I can put a note why I'm closing it. That note will go for permanently in the status history. I don't need to put a note today. So we're doing a final close of the work order. Now, on the closing of work orders, only the company administrator in your account can reopen a closed work order. Sometimes you might have closed the work order, and I'm hiding my close. Sometimes, Mandy, you might have closed the work order, but you forgot to add a picture, document, invoice, whatever, to the work order. You can reopen this work order as a company administrator, bring it down from the cloud, populate whatever data was missed, and then re-upload it again. That also gets timestamped in Maxpanda as well. So does anyone have any questions on the life cycle or that process of a submitted work order all the way down to a closed work order?
I don't know if you plan on showing the calendar functionality for the work orders assigned or anything like that.
Yeah, that's where I was going next. The calendar and the PM and then our reports to finish off.
Okay.
Okay.
Kapita had a question.
Yeah, so when I create a work order, there is a field called assets. So is that pre-populated from the database? Is there a drop-down that I can select the names, the numbers from?
Yes, everything is pre-populated by the supervisor, editor, administrator. So supervisors can add new equipment in any particular site or building. A piece of equipment, we call it assets, does not need to be assigned to a location. So if I submit a work order, for example, and I don't select a building or a location and I click assets, Maxpanda will show every piece of equipment in this particular database, in this site, right? By selecting a building, let's say Baylor plant, now when I click assets, I have 4 or 5 pieces of equipment. These equipment were assigned to this building. So again, everything is pre-populated. It will show the first 500 records for everybody. If you have more than 500, you can, keep scrolling or simply use the keyboard. Like I just pressed B and it'll filter all the locations with the B in it. So if I put BAC, there's the back lane. So I instantly find it. So it's a live search of your database. And yes, everything is pre-populated by you, but you do not require locations, equipment to create a work order in Maxpanda. You can sign up for an account and start submitting, work orders right there and then. Without having the location or the asset in a work order, like assigned to a work order, you won't be able to report on the history of that piece of equipment or location, right? So you want to pre-populate your information. Did I answer the question?
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Steve, this is Craig. And I was a problem in school, too, with a lot of questions. So my nature, sorry.
No, that's good.
The work order types, is that strictly free flow, or can that be a drop-down also where you could have a limited set of work order types, or would we go by category, just have more categories?
Sorry, where did you see type? Because we only have 3 type of work orders: PMs, work orders, and metering types.
When you were filling it out, there was there you go, work order title, title.
Oh, title, yeah.
So free flow descriptive fields, and then we would use categories to designate. Is there any limit on the number of categories?
There's no limit in anything. So I've got, I don't know, 20 categories. You can have 20,000 or 3.
Okay.
The minimum requirements to create a work order in Maxpanda or a PM are title, category, priority. Everything else is optional. But as you can see here, I have made building, location, asset a required field for my staff to submit work orders. I don't want people just submitting work orders saying, hey, my building is broken. Well, I need to know what building you're in because I manage 5,000 buildings.
Okay, so the admin can turn on or off mandatory fields?
That's correct. And the guest portal can actually be as small as these 3 fields only, like to show only 3 fields. The guest portal form also has, you can show or hide multiple things. In this form, within the desktop, which is you have to log in, we show all this information, but you can make it required or non-required to fill up.
Okay, very good. And I might have missed this, but by assigning it, so when you assign it to Mandy,
yeah,
is that done by type, category, or how does it get assigned to the right folks?
That's a great question. So Mandy actually can belong to the medical category and HVAC. So when she logs in, she would only see this, HVAC and medical, okay? When she clicks that button, she will be able to see electrical cleaning, but they're grayed out. Like, she won't be able to go into electrical department. Think of categories like departments, right? So we also have groupings as well, because a lot of times the electrical group might have 3 different electrical categories, right? 3 different people or whatever. So again, you can customize and assign Mandy to only view HVAC work orders. So she would only see that one as well. But you're assigning people to their name. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so this is the list view of all the work orders that we saw. And every time I log in now, I want to see approved, canceled, completed, pending, every time, right? So whether I log out, I come in tomorrow, I'm going to see this list. And I want to show 50 work orders at the same time. But now I'm showing 300 work orders, right? So I can go show 10, and I can go next. 319 work orders. If you don't like the list view, if you don't like the mobile view, the mobile app is actually a little bit better because it has the whole screen on the mobile is all green for, you know, like colored green sort of thing per work order. And then you just scroll down. The calendar, there's actually 2 calendars. Every person has my work orders, my to-do list. So in my to-do list, you can see here, those are items that have been assigned to me, right? So staff and vendor have a my to-do list. So this my to-do list would show on the calendar as well. When you first use the calendar, we have these filters for you as well. If you don't want to define what type of work orders you want to see, for example, I only want to see my future preventive maintenance work orders coming up this month, you wouldn't select that. I'm going to show everything, and I'll minimize my filters here. So this is my world in November, and as you can see, I've got some overdue work orders already. I've got some work orders that have been generated, approved. Some have closed. Repair the gas, that's the detector. That's the one we closed today. It was a 3-day work order. And you'll notice the light blue ones. Now, the light blue ones, there's a graph here, future work orders. These are your PMs that will automatically turn green on a specific day. So today is November 7. As you can see here, November 9, we have a recurring work order. It's a 24-hour work order. It's changed the pool filter, right? So it's due at midnight on Fridays. What happens if this Friday was a holiday? So I don't have anybody assigned to it or anything. So what you could do is you could drag it to Thursday, tomorrow, or next Monday. Now, Maxpanda will say confirm schedule change, so I'm not going to do that. But you're only changing this occurrence. You're not editing the actual PM schedule. That's done within the PM library there. So the calendar has 2 benefits. Shows you the future work orders as well as the drag and drop capabilities. It shows you the full day work orders in a month, in a year. Again, I can go to October, November, December, January, whatever. But I can show my work orders by the week as well. And at the top are work orders that are 24-hour based, like full day. But if you set up your PMs or work orders by the minute, so you've got a work order every half an hour assigned to someone here, it'll be shown down here. They are expanded and drag and drop as well for rescheduling or for your resourcing. Any questions on the calendar at all from anyone?
If we talk about emails being sent whenever the work orders are due, etc.
Yeah, this functionality is the work order that you saw, same thing that we went through. They're all hyperlinked. So if I click on repair gas, it's going to open up the work order that we closed today. So they're all hyperlinked right to the work order.
Okay, good. And explain the my work orders. Are these work orders that you have submitted, or
Yes.
these are ones that have been assigned to you?
No, my work orders are the ones that I've submitted. So I can go into submit work order now and say, hey, Mandy, how's your day today? Can you fix my light bulb? That will go under my work orders because I need to see that yellow, green, orange, brown status, right? I want to see the progression. So it's going to be here. My to-do list is only if you are assigned to a work order. So submitter would not have that, right? So it's your maintenance staff, your vendors, your supervisor, editor, administrators have my to-do list. So if I assigned this work order to Mandy, when she logs in under my to-do list, she would see that work order and under my to-do list. So these are work orders that you need to complete by specific date.
Okay, very good. Thanks. That clarifies that. I was a little confused on that.
Okay.
Question on priorities. When you submit a work order, when you submitted that first work order, you said it was a 7-day priority.
Yes.
Mandy said, no, I know we need to get this done quicker, so she changed it to 3 days.
Correct.
I'm thinking of actually the inverse of that. If someone has a need and they submit a piece of equipment for repair and they know they need it back in 3 days, does the assignee still have that ability to say, nope, this is not a 3-day, this is a 7-day? And then how does that notification process work?
No, the person we call them submitters. So the person who requested the work will not have access to the priority settings after it's been approved. So they can't go and edit the work order and here's one that's 5 days, right? They can't go into this, edit this one and say, you know what, I want this done today, urgent. That is only for the supervisor, editor, administrator to manage the priority setting after the fact, after it's been approved. Now, what they can do is, remember I mentioned notes and comments are communicated, right? So here's a 1-day due date. Let's pretend it was 7 days. And it doesn't have to be 7. This number can be 21, right? A low priority could be whatever you set up. Let's pretend I submitted this as a 7 and you want to change that to change that. Well, a submitter doesn't have access to this after it's approved. Remember, I'm logged in as a company admin. So what they would do is in their notes, they would log in and say, hey, I made a mistake. Please have this done by Thursday or, 4 days from now. So instead of 7 days, they would want it 4 days. You will see this. All of these supervisors, editors, admins have access to the same work order. So you will get an email with the updated notes. And at that point, you can come in here, edit it, and say, okay, fine. We're going to escalate this now to 3 days. All of your staff and vendors will get an email because you've changed the priority now. And they know the job has to be done within 3 days. But the submitter does not have access to this after they submit it the first time. Make sense?
Okay, that does, but my question was a little different. If I'm a submitter and I submit it as a high priority 3-day, and it goes to, I'm going to pick on Mandy because she's the name you're using, and I go to Mandy, and Mandy's, I'm too busy, I know I can't get this done in 3 days, so I'm going to change it to 7 days, which is more realistic. If that submitter needs that piece of equipment back on day 4, they're in trouble there. So how does the submitter get communicated back that, nope, someone changed this priority that you submitted? That makes sense? So if I'm a submitter, I'm going to play the role of submitter. I have a piece of equipment that needs to be repaired. I need it back for a job on Monday, which means that Mandy's only got 2 days because she's got to get it back to me on Friday. So she's only got 2 days to get it repaired. She gets my request and she says, oh, that's impossible. I can't do it in 2 days. I can do it in a week and I can have it back to you by next Wednesday. So I'm going to change this to a medium priority.
Yeah, and you would not see the change, the medium. she would have to put in her comments. So Mandy puts here, can't be done by then, or whatever you just said, it can't be done by then. The comments would be sent to the submitter who initially put in, need this done by 3 days. So email and push alert are sent to the submitter, which put in the notes, by Mandy, which she put in her comments. Now, alternatively, the submitter can just open up the work order and view all of this information. They can see that it has been updated to a different status, but they cannot change the status after it's been approved. They can request in the notes, please change it quick or whatever. And Mandy can communicate through the comments, sorry, I can't get this done till Monday. Am I answering the question?
I think that's it, yeah.
That's
Notes driven, right.
Yeah, and we talked about emails, right? So emails get triggered only when the status change happens, or reminder emails are being sent. Hey Mandy, your work order is due tomorrow, you have to address this type of emails are being sent as well?
There's every status change, there's an email that gets sent out and a push alert. And that's why we have this functionality here, because at first you might think this is awesome by checking everything. But if you're doing 100 work orders every day, you might not want to get 100 emails of completed work orders. Each work order might end up having 5 to 6 different emails of communication. When it's sent in, when it's approved, when updated notes and comments, that's exactly what James, you just talked about. Mandy putting in her comments. So do you want to get that? So one work order, you might end up getting 5 to 6 different emails if you're diligent in pursuing the updates, and that's why we have that ability there to uncheck that.
Okay.
And the statuses? Can I manipulate what the statuses are besides just approved and pending and things like that? Can I create my own?
No, these are defaulted in Maxpanda. You can only view and hide what you want to see, but you cannot, we don't have in super progress one or manipulate that. They're all predefined. Okay, so I'm going to go now, before we go to the reports, we're going to look at the PMs. I mentioned earlier that there are boilerplates, there's templates. Boilerplate is just a scratch pad to put down your ideas. If you like that idea, make it a template. Templates are shared within all your sites. So Maxpanda headquarters makes a template, everyone else can import it into their account through the shared template portal. I'm going to review an actual PM right now that's running. I've got a whole bunch here. These are all dedicated to Maxpanda headquarters site. Ream HVAC inspection. So I need to change the filters in this HVAC machine. I'm going to edit it. It does have a PM running on it right now. So let's look at that PM. All right. So a PM is 5 accordions. Number 1 is the details of the PM. The title, remember, is going to be the email and the push alert text that you're going to receive on the mobile, same with the desktop, etc. This is going into the HVAC work order category. It's a 5-day due date upon generation, but for PMs, we allow you to override that fact there. So as you can see here, I'm actually giving my staff 14 days after this PM generates the first work order and assigns it to somebody. So they'll have 14 days, not 5 days to complete. And you can even change that to 60 minutes. So when it generates, Steve's got an hour to complete the work order. Moving on down, you can carbon copy someone on the PM. I copied and pasted this from the O&M manual, so you can either write it up like from your Access database, or attach the Access file right to the PM itself. So that the PM will actually house all of the history related to this piece of equipment. Right now, what I did is I wrote up all the checklist in the notes. Your PMs can have private notes as well. For this PM, it's against the Ream HVAC unit, and I also assigned it to that truck. I don't know why, but whatever. So when I assign this now to Maxwell, auto-assign it to Maxwell in the maintenance department, they're going to get a new work order automatically on their to-do list, depending on the schedule that I set up. So Maxpanda will generate the PMs for them. I also pre-assign the vendor to this PM. So by doing this, both my staff and my vendor will automatically get assigned to the work order, so I don't have to do anything, okay? They know where they're going to go. We have maps for them. We have floor plans. We have everything for them to find this first floor, etc. The next ingredient is the schedule. So this PM, I have it running every Saturday, but if it was a filter change, really it should be the first Monday of every 3 months. I want a new work order generated, okay? And it doesn't have end date, but I can say, you know what, I have a year contract with somebody, so I want 4 work orders, 4 occurrences times 3 months. That's a 1-year contract right there. So it'll stop after a year, or you can tell it when to stop. This PM also has 5 tasks, checklists that need to be completed for every work order it generates. So remember that roof inspection report, chemical wash. You can sort them, and you can assign them to different personnel. But all of these have to be completed before somebody completes the work order that it generates. Attachments. At the PM level, I have a procedure diagram, another picture, and a safety checklist that will only be attached to the work order through the PMs, okay? So remember all that asset attachment that we had in the parts and all that? Well, the work order will have that, but it'll also include these attachments here. These are PM attachments. Now, every PM that you create as a template or live, we will house every work order that it generated. So this PM that you're looking at has actually created almost 160 work orders to date. What's cool about this is I don't need a report. I can actually go to this work order right here. I can go back to April of 2015 and look at who worked on this issue. What did we do to it? What was done to this piece of equipment? Was it a vendor-related invoice, etc.? Whatever you want. So all of your history is here. It is not in an Access database that's very difficult to search and look at, especially in terms of PMs. So all your work orders will be housed within the PM itself. Having said that, you obviously want to do reports. So I'm going to show you 2 reports today. These are there's 25 different reports. If you're generating a report that's longer than 60 days, it will automatically be queued in My Reports here. So My Reports, we house it here for 30 days. So this report, I guess I created it on the October 25th. The next morning, it was available for me to download here on the format that I wanted. Okay, so let's generate a report. I'm going to do the SLA export. Why? Because it stands for Service Level Agreement. It deals with time and money, and it's going to answer a few more questions that we looked at today. So let's go from October 1st till the 8th, November 8th. I'm not going to filter anything. So to create reports, all you need is a start date and an end date, and you can go by type, status, category. There's different ones for all, or different data sets for all reports in Maxpanda. So I'm not going to select anything. I'm going to generate all of them. Because my report is under 60 days, I get to download it instantly. If I had a 3-month report, it will go into my queue because for downloading in the morning. All right, so I just created a 4-page report here, and I can download this instantly in 4 different formats, again, into Excel, CSV, to upload it into your own package, to your Access database software, I could print this report. Let's look at the work order that you requested today, Mandy. Repair the gas detector. This work order now is closed. This report, service level agreement, deals with time and money. So here's this is all about the time. Maxpanda just timestamped when your work order was created, approved, start date, plan due date. Remember the plan due date was tomorrow? Or sorry, it was the November 15th, but we escalated the actual due date to tomorrow, the 11th. Is tomorrow the 11th? Oh no, sorry, to 3 days. We did not go to in progress, on hold, or completed, but we timestamp it to the 2nd when it was closed. If we go over here, all of this is the relevant information related to the work order. We're capturing all the private notes, etc. And at the very far right, you'll notice we capture total hours, labor cost, parts cost, the invoice that's attached, and the grand total for that work order. So today, that repair, we're collecting $1,310 for one work order there. Now, this is service level agreement report. Let's say we really want to know what this piece of equipment is costing us only, not all work orders in this account. We would go to the asset cost summary report. So I can look at my asset costs by the building group, building, or even select them independently. So I'm going to select that HVAC unit. I have a lot of PMs on this one, so it's got cost to them. Let's look at this machine here and this. I want a report that's going to show the costs of these 3 pieces of equipment. Again, I'll just go from October till today. And I won't filter anything. I want all type, all status, all categories, run the report. What are these 3 pieces of equipment costing us, or have cost us, from October 1st till today? Here it is here. So this HVAC unit alone, for these 2 months here, we bought it for $5,600. We've already spent $7,000 in cost. This asset cost summary captures hours, labor, parts, invoice, and total for every work order against the machine. I've had 10 work orders in the last month on that machine alone, with the total cost. The other 2 pieces of equipment have had no history, no work orders against them, so our reports are 0. Anybody have any questions on that report? Again, these reports can be downloaded in text file, HTML, Excel, PDF, whatever you want. Reports are available for the editors and administrators in one or all sites. Anybody have any questions on the dynamic reports?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. So say if I wanted to run a report of all the assets assigned to a specific location, can I run a report? I don't really care about maintenance or anything done to them. I just want a list of all the assets at a particular group.
You just want a list of your equipment in a particular area?
Well, assigned to a particular, group. Like if I wanted to know only the equipment assigned to our construction crews in Tennessee.
Okay. Asset cost assigned as, what do we got? Asset cost assigned asset. So you would do, would you have created a building group or a building? In Tennessee, how many buildings are there?
Well, quite a few, but so I would probably generate these as, why you call them buildings, I'm probably going to have to use them as headquarters. So that headquarters, there might be a bunch of buildings, but that headquarters is what I'll put in as a building. And then the location will probably be the division within it, whether it's construction or TFO or something like that. But is there just a way to search the assets assigned to a specific building? Or can I search, if I want to say how many, like the trucks, you guys saw you had on the trucks there. I want to see all the trucks we have, regardless of where they're at. I want a list of all my trucks.
Yeah, that'll be, this is the reporting module, but you just want to see all your assets and filter them. I'll show you that in a minute, but this asset cost summary, if I remember, I went right to the equipment. If you recall that M13 building, I had about 4 or 5 pieces of equipment assigned to it. So by running it like this now, Maxpanda will show me all the asset costs within that building. What I believe you're asking for is just to look at what assets you have in a particular site or building or location, and that could just be done here or asset work orders. So I view all here. I can just use the live filters at the top. So these are all my equipment. I have different buildings, remember, in this site. Again, if I put M13, I have 4 pieces of equipment that are in that building. Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, I think it gets me a little closer to what I was looking for. And I had a question earlier from back on the POs when we were talking about the POs.
Sure.
So is there a way to do an auto schedule a PO, but it's got to be a floating PO? For example, if a piece of equipment is calibrated, it's due again within 30 days, so not necessarily a calendar month. So if I say it's originally scheduled, it says do it sometime in the month of October. Well, if they do it on the 10th of October, the new PO is going to kick off in November. Well, it's got to be done before the 10th of November. It's got to be done within 30 days of the previous. Whenever the previous time they went in and put it as completed, they had completed that PM, I need the new one to auto-generate to say it's got to be due within, again, 30 days of that date. And that will change all the time because they might do it on the 10th, or they might do it on the 24th the next month, they might do it on the 10th.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Now we don't have the floating PO, like we don't have that feature that you're asking for, and I know what you're talking about. We do have the templates, so you could create the purchase order as a template. Unfortunately, you're either going to You're either going to set up that PM by calendar or by the metering type. So we have another module called metering type, which we don't have time to go into it today. I have 7 different meter types running. So if you can see here, like kilometers, hours, days, cycles. So if that piece of equipment, I can set up a meter called cycles on that piece of equipment, and if it reaches a certain level, a certain cycle, like let's say 10,000, or miles would be a better one. So your trucks, every time somebody updates the odometer reading and it hits 10,000 miles, a new work order is going to generate. Now that work order, you can pre-assign tasks and then have your PO template assigned to that metering template. So this work order here, as you can see, it's a meter work order. It's not calendar based. It's a meter trigger that's set up every 10,000 miles on this Chevy truck here, that 150. So every time I can scan the QR code of that truck and update the odometer every time I use it, and if it hits 10,000, a new work order will generate on that piece of equipment. And I know I sidelined a bit there with the metering types, but I tried to answer a couple questions there.
Okay, thanks. This is Craig. I've got to go back to one that I forgot to ask before. Is on the completion of the work order is when the staff actually completes the work, and the closure is when the supervisor goes back and closes it. So what would be reported as the completion date on that? Would it be when can you report by completion date rather than closing? Because if there's maintenance that's due every 30 days, if the staff does that within 30 days, but the supervisor's on vacation that week, doesn't close them until the following week, does that make it as if the work order's overdue?
Well, no, because once it's completed, it will not go overdue. That means the job was done. When the supervisor closes them, it's totally up to you, your team. The close date is not as important as the completed time. Right? If you're getting overdue work orders, it means the staff and vendor are not completing those work orders on time. And you can start allocating more time to give your staff, or, you know, they're overworked, whatever. But the closing date, we just timestamp that to when the actual supervisor, editor, admin closed the work order. We use that as a visual post-inspection. So any way you want to use the close date is fine, but it has no effect on overdue. That's all upon the when the priority was set, and did the completion time meet that priority setting.
Is it possible to auto-close work orders upon completion so that a supervisor doesn't have to review a simple task?
No, unfortunately not. Someone has to manually approve and manually close. But if you recall what I did here, if you're a supervisor, it would take you a second. Completed. So in my account here in Maxpanda headquarters, I'm managing 20 buildings. I have 51 completed work orders. If you know your staff actually completed the tasks within the work orders, you will be able to close them all off in a single click. But you'll notice here 0 out of 1 task completed, right? So that means there's still a task that needs to be done. Let's pretend there's no tasks assigned here. So here what I could do is I could show 100 at a time, like all 51 completed work orders, use the checkbox, close them off in a multi-status change. So by clicking this, I'll be able to close all the work orders in a single click. So it's not real time consuming, but if there's outstanding tasks, Maxpanda won't let you close those work orders until the tasks are done. And that only benefits your organization. Did that answer the question?
Yes, excellent, thank you.
Hey, Steve, I have one question to follow up on Scott's question about the floating dates as far as the PM.
Yeah.
If you created the date that PM has to be done within like 7 or 10 days, would that work for that scenario?
Well, you define your PM due dates, right? So if I go into my template again, here's a safety checklist. It has one here, so whatever. So open it up. Because maybe I'm not understanding for the floating module that good.
Okay, so let's say we have a PM due for calibration on a piece of equipment every 30 days. So the PM only creates that work order every 30 days.
Okay, so
however,
what
if they decided to go back in early and calibrate before the 30 days?
Well, they wouldn't be able to edit the work order because you have to define when the work order is generated, right?
Right, but this is what I'm thinking as far as configuration. If we made the due date, let's say 10 days, and made let's say, so the duration, if you did that in 10 days and you did your due date the middle of every month, wouldn't that may work? So that would be in the middle of the month,
no.
the actual PM.
Somebody could do it on Somebody could do it on the 2nd of the month, and the next month it has to be done by the 1st, because it has to be done within 30 days. If you kick it off, say, the first Monday of every month, and say you got 30 days to complete it because you got a 30-day cycle, but I didn't do it until the 25th of the month, and then, or say I did it on the 8th of the month, and the next month it kicks off on the first Monday, and you have 30 days to get it done in. Well, the system will say, well, I've got till the very end of the month to do it, but because I did it on the 10th the previous month, I have to do it before the 10th this month. So you end up usually on stuff that's every 30-day cycle, you usually end up doing them like 14 times a year or more. You do them more than once a month.
Why not create it every 3 weeks then?
So the PM comes out and creates the work order.
But then you're on a 21-day cycle. You create it every 3 weeks.
The duration is 7 days or 10 days. The PM will count, but it doesn't have to be worked on for 7 days.
You can still do it every 21 days and still somebody calibrate within the first few days of the month. And not see it again to the end of the next month or the 20th day, and you would be out of compliance again. Because if somebody comes in and says, you know, we're having staff meeting the first of the month on the 3rd, and I'm going to calibrate mine while I'm here, and then the next month it kicks off at the 1st that says, you know, you have 21 days, 3 weeks. Well, they really don't. They have to. That's a complicated floating thing, and it has to be once every 30 days. Same will fall with the yearly things. Once a year, you can't say once a calendar year. It has to be within a year the last time it was done. It always has to re-kick itself off from the completion of the
PM instead of the.
But it doesn't seem. It looks like you can only drive up the scheduled date.
Yeah.
If there was a way to do it from the completed date, that would work.
That would work.
Does that make sense, Steve?
I'm writing this down in my notes. Yes.
So for calibration, I don't know if you could look at a category and set up a schedule for 30 days. Calibration PMs would look at the completed date instead of any other date.
Right.
Yeah, we'd have to only look at the complete. Well, we'd have to put a task of calibration and say kick off from that calibration, because say within that 30 days it broke and somebody came in and fixed it, and once they got done fixing it, they would calibrate to check it. That's going to reset the PM. Wasn't really due for PM. It was being calibrated because it was repaired, but because they did that repair or did that calibration on it, that there is going to re-kick the PMs again.
Yeah, I totally understand what everyone's talking about. You want a dynamic PM to change the interval depending on the completed time of the last work order.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I complete it on the 3rd Monday, for some reason this is the first Monday of every whatever. Oh, sorry. If I do a first Monday of every month, and I complete it on a Friday, you want the scheduler to start from the Friday, and then it would be 3 weeks, and not a month. It would take 3 weeks for the next PM to generate, and and I get that floating. And so I have to go back to our team and discuss, you know, if that's possible because it seems it would be a different PM module, like to make it simple for our current customers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on that to see if it's possible to implement it in here. So. Because right now the PM, we need a start date, right? So it starts at the start date, and then it'll work. The module will work depending on daily, weekly, yearly, monthly schedule. But you want to add the start date, and then as well as an option of the completed date, and then have the new start date come in from the completed date. I get that. Some customers might want that feature in some of their equipment, as well as some not in other equipment. So I think it would be a different PM module altogether.
Or you do it by category, Steve.
You mean work category?
Yeah, we have a category for calibration.
Well, yeah, you'd be able to set up the PM towards that category under here. this for sure, but we have a software called the Runner. Customers don't know this. So there's a runner running right now, excuse me, every 15 minutes in Amazon. And it looks at all your PM schedules, and it runs them every 15 minutes. And if it's triggered, you know, like, oh, it's Wednesday today, Mandy's got this PM, so then it'll generate it, right, depending on the schedule. So it runs automatically. That runner is not what you guys want. You need a different runner. It's a totally different system. And I understand what you need. I mean, we've been asked this before, but we just don't have it integrated. So I've got to write down some notes, and we can always work together on that. That's not a problem.
Okay, great.
This is the time for Q&A.
No, John had to drop off.
Yeah, and if we have some follow-up questions, can we send you an email, collect them, and send you an email, or set up another session if we need to? Yes,
definitely. Two things. One, Mandy does have an active account, so you can Mandy, please share any screenshots or functionality that because I only went to 50% of the functionality today. There's right, like we only have a certain amount of time today, and after 2 hours, people start getting bored. So Mandy does have an account, but please email me directly any questions or concerns you have, and I'll be glad to help you out there for sure.
Okay, good. So for anyone, Duke Piedmont employees, if you have any questions left over from today, forward them to John Harris and copy Kavitha, Mandy, and I. We'll send an email out with instructions so we can aggregate all the questions and send them off in one note.
Yeah, John, I'll send you and Mandy a post-thank you email with relevant links to the security, Amazon docs, Maxpanda blog, all that, fun stuff. And you can share that those links if you want to with the team, help files, etc. And then if people have questions, sure, aggregate them or get them directly to email me. That's fine. Either way.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate it.
And we will leave the link for the recording that you did today.
Oh, yeah, and if you could send the recording to us, that would be great.
Yeah, I think there's going to be 2 links I'll send you because the first freeze up there. So I'll send you both. I wrote that down. Not a problem.
All right, perfect.
Thank you, everybody, for spending the time today. I know we went over our 2-hour period. Appreciate it. And like I said, anybody have any questions, let me know anytime, 24/7.
Okay, will do, Steve. Thank you. And again, for Duke and Piedmont folks, please do your scoring sheet while it's fresh when you have some time. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.